Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us revise next economics chapter, that is globalization and the Indian economy. So, what do you mean by MNC?
Ma- Multinational
Yes,
corporations.
yes, multinational corporations. These are multinational corporations. So, what is multinational corporation? If there's any question regarding this, you have to write its definition. That is, multinational corporation is one that owns or controls production in more than one country. That is a company which has its production or ownership in more than one country. So, what is the need of MNC? Because with time, with globalization, there was expansion of trade. So, the companies which grew well, they started establishing their headquarters in the main country and then various other branches in other countries. So these were known as MNCs. So how MNCs choose a place of production? That how MNCs decide that this place is good for establishing their branch? Anyone? What does any production or factory will need? Labor.
Resources like native resources.
Yes, very good. That the resources availability is high. What they need, that they are available in
Cheap labor.
high. Yes. Resources are also available at cheap. Labor is available in abundance as well as cheap. Very good. So, what is the
And
motive
ma'am,
behind
no
keeping?
trade barriers.
Very good. No trade barriers. That no different kind of extra tax imposed on MNCs, which would encourage MNCs to set up their branches in that country. So, motive behind all of this is to decrease production cost so that the products that the industry is producing is of low cost, and when they sell it they get large amount of profit. The labor has to be skilled also. Then they also see that the location of the MNC is near market. That is, for example, in big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, or Chennai, or near Kolkata. Here, what these industries will do, they'll set up their branches and they sell their products there itself. So, establishing near market is also beneficial for these MNCs. Then, some government measures that protect the interest of MNCs. So, there can be this direct question. So where you will mention these points, first you will write the definition of MNC, that it is a multinational corporation which owns or controls production in more than one country. Then they choose a place of production by checking the labor, whether it is skilled, cheap, or present in large amount. Then the resources available in the country. Then what kind of trade barriers are there, the closeness to the market, and the government measures which can do the welfare of the MNCs also. Now tell me, what is investment? What do you mean by investment? Anyone? Try?
The money used to buy goods.
Yes. What kind of goods? These are assets, such as lands, buildings, machineries, or other equipments. By using them, we can earn further more money. For example, first of all, let us write what are investment. It refers to money spent on assets or goods such as land, buildings, machineries, and other equipments. That is, money spent for buying packet of biscuit is not an investment. You are just consuming the biscuit. But money spent on, for example, some machine that you will use in your company to produce goods. So this is kind of asset. And that is what spending money and investment are different. So the investment done by MNCs, what do we call them?
Foreign
Foreign investment. So that they do these investments in hope of profiting from these assets. So MNCs are spreading their production and interacting with local producers also in whatever country they are going. They MNCs interact with the host country through variety of methods. First, joint production. Any idea what is joint production?
Production, like the MNCs will give contract to the local companies, and
Very good.
then
So,
when the local companies will like produce it, then it will be produced in the name of the MNC, and the profit will be made and the money will be paid to that local market.
yes. So, if in the name itself it is said that is there is a joint production. MNC will partner with some existing local company.
Like Parak, ma'am. In the Parak,
Yes. And then they will jointly produce in form of partnership. So, in this process, the local company it benefits because it gets new and improved assets which it could not have gained alone at the local level. What happens? The MNCs, which is coming from some foreign country, it brings better resources, better equipments, and better knowledge or know-how, which can help these local company to improve themselves also. So new and improved assets as well as new cutting edge technologies. So this is one of the important characteristics of MNCs that with them they bring new assets as well as new technologies which benefits the local company in the joint production. Second is acquisition. Acquisition of local companies. This is also a type of relationship between the local companies and the MNCs. What happens in acquisition, Rithi?
ma'am, there was an example, ma'am, like how Chirac Foods of America, ma'am, acquired Parak oil. No, ma'am.
You are giving example for acquisition.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there was a famous
Okay,
American company, ma'am, which acquired like there was a oil market, ma'am. It was in India. I forgot its name.
okay,
It was very famous until, but due to lack of competition, it declined in sales. And then the Americans bought it, and now it is very famous in India.
okay. So you can cite these examples. This will enrich your answer only and will fetch you good marks. Okay. If you know examples, that is very good. Okay. So anyone else can tell me what do you mean by acquisition of local companies? Riti, Rupika? Okay. So MNCs, what they do in this case, they MNCs purchase large, already established local enterprises with vast network. That is, there's some already established local enterprise
Ma'am,
with which the MNCs purchase so that the MNCs can grow their production.
ma'am, the example was about ma'am Cargill Foods. I remembered. Cargill Foods was a large American MNC. It took over small Indian companies like Parak Foods, ma'am,
Okay,
and it had a large marketing network. So now, and already Parak Foods had four refineries, so they were able to expand the production, ma'am. And now it is the
okay.
largest producer of oil, Cargill.
Very good, very good. So you can cite this example and you can find examples for joint production and then controlled production also if you want to enrich your answer.
Yes,
Okay. Now, what do you mean by controlled production? Here, MNCs source materials and make orders with local companies who create goods. So there is controlled production. What the MNCs do? MNCs source materials and make orders with local companies who create goods resulting in controlled production. Here, the MNCs source materials and just make orders while the production of goods, or this is done by the local companies. So here MNC and local companies, they have not neither joint production nor there is acquisition. There is just control production by the MNCs through the local companies. So if there is a question about how in different methods the MNCs spread their production in with the local producers, you can write these three types: joint production, acquisition, and control production. So how, if there is
Mom,
question, yes,
mom, in the previous page, what was the question again?
for this.
Yes, mom.
So the question can be how MNCs spread their production or interact with local producers. So in what methods, or you can be asked about the methods
Okay,
in
mom.
which MNCs is interacting with local producers. The
Okay,
three
mom.
types of relationships between MNCs and local producers. So you will just write joint production, acquisition, and control production, and then you can explain them. Now, how MNCs benefit the local business. What are the points that you can write? How MNCs benefit the local business? We have discussed this point. There are two major things that MNCs will bring in for the
Ma'am,
local business. Yes.
ma'am, transportation.
How transportation?
No, not transportation.
We have discussed this already here. Won't MNC bring extra investments or new machines which will increase production speed?
Yes, ma'am.
So MNCs give funds for extra investments. The MNCs which are coming from the foreign countries, they are ready to establish their uh, branches in other countries only because they have good amount of investment and money with them. So they will use this money through the local business to buy new kind of investments and other equipments, which could
Machinery.
be, yes, new machines. Now MNCs, for example, from any developed country, which are, they are developed because they have high or new cutting edge technology, new manufacturing technology with them. So, because they want to increase their production, because they will also benefit from the profit they will gain in this new country. So, they will also bring cutting edge manufacturing technology with them. So, in the heading of the question, you will write funding for extra investment and cutting edge manufacturing technology, and then you will explain that how new technology will help in improving production, the efficiency of the company, and bring it more profits for the local business. So what does foreign trade does? Foreign trades allows producers to expand their reach beyond their home markets. In if there is a company which is selling in India only, it will gain some amount of profit. But it is given the option that it can now sell its products in other countries also, the foreign countries also. So definitely it will increase the amount of profit for the company. So foreign trade allows the producers to expand their reach beyond their home market by being in their own country only. So producers have the option of selling their products not only in, for example, in India, but also in the marketplaces around the world. So
Ma'am,
now
cutting
comes
edge
the
means.
question. Cutting edge means it is just an adjective used for the latest technology.
Okay, ma'am.
So you can write latest technology also, cutting edge technology also.
Okay, okay.
That is, they are just to the point at that time. This is the latest technology in the market. Only the companies which are coming from these developed countries having these technology which India does not have right now. They will bring those technology in with their company in the host country like India. That's why MNCs are beneficial. Now, very important term, globalization. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by globalization in terms of economics?
Ma'am, it is the removal of trade barriers by each country, and then the markets get connected to each other through which
Yes,
through which the flow of imports and
goods and
exports
services. Yes,
imports and exports become easier,
yes.
and
So it refers to, very good, it refers to process of
Ma'am,
integration. Yes,
ma'am, can we say it as the integration of a country's economy with the global economy?
very good. You can say that also. You can, very good. You can answer your start your answer with this definition. And if it is a large, question with more marks, like 2 marks or 3 marks, then you can explain on the basis of other points that have been told recently. Okay, you can start with this definition that it is the process of integrating a country's economy with the global economy. Any country's economy integrated with the global economy. Now you can explain how this integration happens. That is by removing trade barriers, by easy exchange of goods and services, through different kinds of initiatives where the world becomes more connected. For example, it includes even breaking of geographical barriers. For movement of goods, there is need of smooth transportation also. So this transportation, if it is not smooth, it creates geographical barriers. So during globalization, these geographical barriers also has to be removed. For example, if there are two or three, there is one country between two countries which is not allowing the goods to be moved to and from between these two countries. For example, this is India, this is Pakistan, and this is Afghanistan. India want to do trade with Afghanistan, but Pakistan is to trans not allowing the transportation of goods from India to Afghanistan. So this is a kind of geographical barrier for the globalization. So what globalization wants? It want to create connections so that even India can be influenced by events taking place thousands of miles away. This is the effect of globalization. So globalization is the process of people. i- The people are also connected, corporations are also connected, government is also connected. All of them are connecting at different levels. They are interacting and they are uniting.
Ma'am, now here, so India will do trade with Pakistan to allow India to trade with Afghanistan, or will they like transport it through another country?
They will transport it either through the sea, longer route, or through another country.
Okay.
So this will add on some costs, right? If you either you'll go directly or you'll go through a longer path. The longer path adds cost. And if you increase cost, the production cost increases and the profits will be less. That's why these geographical barriers needs to be removed. Clear?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So why we have seen recently that globalization has been more in the last century or the few last decades. Why? What are the enablers?
Ma'am, the technology
Enablers,
increase.
yes. The enablers of globalization are first
From the
technology.
colonial, no,
Yes, as the historical factor, you can write colonialism. That
from the
by that time,
The British
yes,
had colonized the country and exploited the resources with their superior technology, and then they exported to other countries like even America and Britain and Spain,
yes,
Dutch, all were engaged in colonialism. So ultimately,
very good. You can use this point as before starting your main answer, like that globalization for India started during the time when India was colonized by the British Empire. So you can write that during that time this there was trade happening. For example, you can write for cotton or other spices. You can write those examples, and then you can start that why it is fast in present in modern times
and
because of yes,
one more thing, these all countries also had exploited Africa. This I mentioned age of industrialization. They had engaged in like exploitation of Africa's resource, and then soon when the markets began to develop, and then the global agricultural economy had formed, ma'am, in which
yes.
every country like had, and also the food, no, ma'am, got imported with better refrigerated ships.
So that is example of technology only, right? Technology is developed. Refrigeration is example of technology only.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
there is facility of refrigeration, then only for example, these products which are perishable, that is, they get spoiled at very fast rate in a one day, and we are transporting through the sea and ship through ships for like around 20 days, 30 days. So development of refrigeration allowed this transportation and increased the trade and the exchange of goods and services. So, how technology enabled globalization? It is one of the primary factors that accelerated globalization. So, first, this allowed flow of information. Information is readily accessible to everyone. The information about that what products are present in which country and which products are better. Also led to IT revolution because now workers from all different regions are connected virtually. They are integrated through virtual platform. Also, automation,
Ma'am, faster transportation.
yes, automation and precise control. The good transportation methods. What did automation do? Because now machines are making products, so there is homogeneity in products. All products are well and perfect made by machines. With the help of these new advanced technologies, the all of these globalization through exchange of or flow of information, IT revolution, automation and precise controlled production, as well as good transportation. These points or examples you can write under the technology point. Then what else has happened? Trade liberalization. What do you
Ma'am,
mean by liberalization?
removal
Ma'am,
of
the barriers like the
Yes,
taxes etc. were liberalized.
very good. Government imposed some these trade restrictions called trade barriers. These trade barriers were removed or decreased, and this led to increase in globalization. So removal of trade barriers through high import tax. These trade barriers were controlled that which products, type of products should be exported or imported. So in these controlling methods were decreased or removed, hence the globalization increased. So liberalization definition can also be asked. It is the process of removing government imposed trade barriers or obstacles. That is decreasing the restrictions on the trade. Now, when these developing countries or economies removed these trade restrictions, it helped in growth and productivity of their economy. Now, when was liberalization done in India? Liberalization in trade.
Ma'am, wasn't it because after the independence, the government thought Indian companies should develop first to compete with the national market, I mean international
Yes,
market. So they imposed the trade barriers. Then they removed it after when they thought the market of India was better to compete with others, right?
very good. Yes, this was the case because when India got independence, its local industry or manufacturing sector was very weak because it was destroyed by the British colonial empire. What they did, they started production in their country and they dumped their products in India. They never let the Indian industries to develop so that they produce goods and they benefit. So what they do, they develop their industries and imposed, and they dumped their products in India. That everything we used, they that got imported from other countries. So that time liberalization was not good for India because the local companies of India, they were not good enough to compete with the industries all around the world. So, but by 1991, the Indian government decided to liberalize the Indian economy. We call the 1991 LPG reforms. Have you heard of these?
ma'am, I heard liberalization
Liberalization,
by Dr. Manmohan Singh.
privatization. Yes, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This is nothing but opening up the economy of India to the economy of the world. So this
World.
happened in the year 1991. Now tell me, what do you mean by foreign direct investment? Foreign investment was one thing that we discussed. What do you mean by foreign direct investment? It is a considerable investment. That is not just few percentages like 2%, 3% investment in any local company of India. It is a company's considerable investments in a foreign enterprise. Some enterprise, for example, is existing in India and some company from foreign company, it invests in that enterprises in a considerable amount. For example, more than 10% of the share of the company. So that is called foreign direct investment. It should acquire some material source and it should expand company's territory or establish and some international presence. It should give some considerable recognition to the local business. Then only we will say that it is a foreign direct investment. Now,
Ma'am, there's
what?
a tie-up like
Yes,
there's a foreign direct investment between Nissan and other foreign company of cars, right?
Yes. So we say it foreign direct investment because the investment done by that foreign company is of large amount. It is not just 2% or 3%, it is at least more than 10%, right?
Yes.
That's why we say foreign direct investment. Now, what do you mean by WTO?
World Trade Organization.
World Trade Organization. It arose from a different organization in the year 1947. What was that organization before World Trade Organization?
Ma'am,
Have you heard of this?
yes, ma'am, it is a organization established in US by the US to encourage liberal globalization and remove trade barriers in each country
Yes,
to encourage the integration of global market and build up the
yes,
global market.
yes. So this WTO organized from this organization, GATT, before WTO, this existed for this purpose regarding what should be done for international trade rules. So, what is the aim of WTO? WTO, first of all, it is a global organization. That is, it is recognized at international level with 164 members. That is, 164 countries are associated with it, and the aim is that it regulates international trade rules. This you have to remember, that you have to write it in your answer, that it is a global organization that regulates international trade rules. That how these import tariffs, export tariffs, how these will be controlled, this is decided by the World Trade Organization. So it ensures that the trade flowing is smooth as well as predictable. Because if WTO is not there, or any organization is not there to check the trade flow, what happens? Any country, if it decides that from tomorrow onwards, I will stop exporting grains, the export of food. So that becomes difficult for the countries which are importing the food. So there should be some organization to oversee it, so that these kind of crisis doesn't occur. There is World Trade Organization. Even some trade, if there is some trade disputes, so to resolve it, World Trade Organization is there. Now, if we say globalization has happened, and in the 1991 reforms happened in India also regarding liberalization. So, what is the impact of globalization in India?
Ma'am, the cheaper rate of goods.
They, because they have started establishing investment, or they have started establishing their branches in India, the goods have become cheaper, right?
Yes, ma'am, and increased competition or
Yes,
increased competition, both fair and unfair, because as the Indian in case of toys, no, ma'am, the Indian market has struggled, and Chinese toys have overflowed.
yes. So we can see the both positive and negative side of it. For this question, you can write it in two forms, that you can simply write all the points together, or form a positive or negative side. So we will discuss all of it together. It is your choice how you want to write it. So competition, for example, of course, if there is MNC and there is some local business, there will be competition between the two. What is the positive side? When there is competition between these two, both of them will try to manufacture the best product possible. So this will increase the quality of goods produced, and also when they're selling, they both want to get some profit. So when there is competition, they will try decreasing the price. So price stability of goods is also due to competition with local business with MNCs. There can be negative examples also. For example, the toy industries, they struggled because there was excess of Chinese toys which were very low in cost. They were dumped in the Indian market, and the Indian toys industries, it got harmed by that. So there can be negative examples of globalization also.
Ma'am, we are allowing globalization because the losses are too less, right?
Yes, yes. Not too less, actually balanced. Because if we for example, stop some imports, then the country which is exporting to us, they will start saying that we will also not export the important things for you. We don't import just toys from China, right? We import other things also, which are very important for our country, raw materials. For example, for the semiconductor industries, we import very important minerals from China. So we can't abruptly stop this trade, otherwise, we will also get affected by this. So both the countries are interconnected.
Yes, ma'am.
So if there is MNC that comes and set up its branch in India, so it will employ some people from our country also. So want it increase employment? So new employment opportunities are created with establishment of MNCs, both in the industry sector as well as in services sector. Then next factor, you can write about modern technologies again. There has been influx of modern technologies and production methods. New modern technologies as well as production methods came with globalization into India. So all of this can be written. So what Indians or any other country for its people will demand that there should be fair globalization.
Ma'am, once can you show the before page?
Ma'am, if possible, could you send this PDF in the group?
Yes, I can.
Okay, ma'am.
So the countries want fair globalization. That in the developing countries, they want that there should be such sort of globalization that they're connected with the world, but it should not be to that extent that it is harming the local industries itself. So what can be done by the government to do this, to support fair globalization? What can government take different steps?
Ma'am, it can promote the regulation of market to to uh, find those who are promoting unfair uh, practices,
Okay.
engaging
Any
in
other?
unfair practices. They can be fined. Next,
Yes.
uh, government can reduce more taxes, or there are special economic zones, no, ma'am, in which uh,
Yes. And I understood what you want to say. So there should government can formulate strategies.
and they can also encourage the native grown also, no, ma'am, startups.
Yes, the small producers in a country, it can to support them. and then encourage them to improve their efficiencies. So have you heard of this
Yes, ma'am.
Make in India programs? So through these different kinds of programs, they are supporting, for example, here in these programs, it is supporting Startup India, Make in India programs. It's also supporting women entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs from the marginalized section by giving them credit or money at their nascent stage or the stage at they are just establishing their business. So, and then encouraging them to improve their efficiency and produce good products. So these are different kinds of strategies that government can do. Then second, labor laws. There should be good labor laws and so that the labor is getting their proper right. These MNCs are not exploiting the cheap labor of the developing countries. There should be proper wages, there should be proper leaves, proper rest time for all the laborers. So that in the name of improving efficiency by the MNCs, there should not be exploitation of the laborers. So labor's laws should be improved. Then WTO. It can also play significant role, right? It is an organization. It can also improve other areas and play significant role in fair globalization. It is an international level organization. So all these steps that you can write, and if you have in mind, you can write few examples also. Okay. We have revised this chapter. Let us see if we can do. See, there was this question in CBSE in the year 2024 that examine transformation observed in India's trade since 1991. So what do you mean by this question?
Ma'am, previously the Indian trade, no, ma'am, it was under extremely regulated to
Yes,
promote the protect the native industries, ma'am, from foreign competition.
yes,
But, but soon the quality of products began to be low, and there were trade deficit, so they had to open the market to the world, and then
yes,
steadily all companies began to take the place and began to compete. Then the local companies had to compete, and they had to make their services products much better, due to which today
yes.
they have a better quality.
So
And
all of that you are telling, please write this as explanation. What you will give as the heading?
liberalization and restricted trade and
That
liberalization.
you can write that pre 1991 there was restricted trade and after post 1991 there was liberalization. That there is freedom to choose what goods to import or export without any government restriction, right?
Yeah,
After post 99 there was improvement in global trade.
and ma'am, it also led to rise of Indian MNCs as well,
Yes, MNCs.
like Tata.
Yeah, Tata is a MNC. It established branches in other countries, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So wider choices were available now. For pre 1991, only the Indian products were available in the market. There were low competition. When there were MNCs, wider choices available to consumers now. For example, new mobile phones, new mobile phone companies. could be seen in India. Also, there was explosion of brands. Pre 1991, there was not many brands that were present. Now, new brands of shirts, televisions, even fruit juices you can see in market. So all of that is due to the 1991 reforms. So this new type of economy that you are seeing, all of that you had to mention in this answer by comparing it what we faced before 1991. Okay. Then there is this question in 2024, what enabled globalization that we discussed in detail, how technology and government policies, trade liberalization, all of that we have discussed. So is there any doubt from this chapter?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So then there's this chapter, money and credit. Let us discuss some questions from this chapter. Through questions, we will cover this chapter. So, first of all, what do you mean by self-help groups? Anyone?
As the banks are not like they were, but tough
Hmm.
policies due to which the villages are not able to give like enough documents, especially valid, and so and the, and they don't get jobs, and then they don't have enough life sustenance, ma'am, to live.
Yes,
So hence SHGs were formed in villages
yes,
to promote like and to help all those farmers laborers by giving them some
yes,
source of cheap credits, and if not paid, they were paid later.
yes.
This
So
also
I
helped
understood
in
the point. Yes.
this
So
also
there
helped
was,
in building
yes,
of like entrepreneurship also among those poor women
very good.
and poor men.
Yes. So you're good with that point that there was when people want loans from the banks, what banks want that there should be good collateral. But poor people do not have that amount of collateral, and the bank loans are not easy for them. So these self-help groups, what they do, they assist borrowers who want to borrow the credit in overcoming the lack of collateral issues. That is when they do not have this collateral that they have to submit with the banks, then in this case, self-help groups help them. They are also based on rural poor organization. You will see self-help group mainly in rural areas among the poor section of the society. It is women, it especially assists women becoming financially self-sufficient. So it is kind of a group which frequently meets and takes action on the social concerns related to the group's health, nutrition, and various other topics. Wait a minute. So they organize rural poor, especially women, into small self-help groups. What they do, they pool their savings. All of the members in the self-help groups, they will collect their savings, and from them they will use it to invest in various other purposes. So they provide a platform for the rural people, rural poor to interchange thoughts, ideas, and opinions about various even domestic and regional issues. So the habit of saving is inculcated among the rural poor and also help them enable loans without collateral issues, also cheap loans. So power of decision making is also developed among these members. Power of decision making developed among members of SHEs. Can you name any famous self-help group?
Ma'am, no. अरे यार,
You haven't heard of any?
no, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, maybe LIC, if I'm not wrong. No.
Actually, it is a name that I remember and it is very famous in India. It is Kudum Shri. It is a very famous self-help group in which is Kerala based. You can quote this example if there is question on self-help group. Right? Remember the name Kudum Shri self-help group. This is women centric and this works for local self-governance. So you can write this example if there is any question in self-help groups. You have to write these points, obviously, that how it provides cheap loans, where the self-help group members pool their savings. It especially assists women, and it is rural-based organization, rural poor-based organization, where they discuss their issues, domestic as well as regional issues. So all of these points you can mention. Then this self-help group question is repeated a lot of time in CBSE. Then next, explain role of banks with regard to money which they accept from public. So, Riti, can you tell me? Rupika, so what does real banks do with the money that they accept from the public?
Ma'am, the banks, ma'am, the banks will get money from the
Hmm?
lenders, and then they will give it to the borrower, uh, to the
Very
people
good.
in need, and at
Yes,
specific interest. And then when up when the money is returned completely, then they will take a large amount of interest and return other the large amount of profit, and then they'll give it the small profit to the lenders.
yes. So what is this main point that they will extend loans from the major portion of the deposits. So this is the main point, extend loans. They will give away the deposits of the people in form of loans, not whole, some to the loans, and then recover them with recover the loans with interest. So this is the major function that banks do, and it survives the bank. Why do we deposit the money in the banks? To keep the money in safe. So bank does keep the money of the public in safe custody. Bank also gives interest on the deposited money to public. For example, if you deposited 10,000 rupees in bank and they say we will give back this money to you after 2 years with some interest rate. So, for example, you will get the money after 2 years with the amount being 12,000 now. So, out of this, you earned 2,000 as interest to the person who deposited the bank. So, this is also the function of bank. So, you can save the money in the bank account, keep the money of the public in the keep the money of the public in the safe custody, gives interest on the deposited money, and extends loan. So these major examples or functions of the bank you can write and explain them in detail. Okay. So do you know about this organization? What is this organization?
Ma'am, RBI is the central bank, is the Reserve Bank of India, and it is the official bank that legislates uh,
Yes, RBI is
and
the Central
regulates the
Bank of
currency,
India.
and has made rupee the official tender.
Yes. So major function it does, it maintains the banking activity by checking the interest rates, all of that, what loan should be given to which sector. All of these, the banking activity is controlled by the RBI. It also monitors balance kept by bank for day-to-day transactions. That is the exchange of money that you are doing with the bank on day-to-day basis. That sometimes we withdraw money, sometimes we deposit money. So that Reserve Bank of India wants the bank to monitor some balance between these two. That what money should be with the bank and what amount can be withdrawn from the bank. So all of this is also controlled by the RBI. It also gives guidelines to bank about setting up terms of credit. That what is the interest rate at which loans should be given to people, what is the rate provided to the depositors. So all of that is guidelines is also given by the RBI. RBI regulates credit flow. What do you mean by credit flow? Credit is nothing but loans which are given and taken. This is only credit flow. So don't get confused. So another important question that comes is role of credit for development. What is the role of these loans which are taken and given for development? So you can start your answer by defining credit. What is credit? So credit is the agreement in which lender supplies the borrowers with money, goods, or services in return for promise of future payment. That today I'll give you this amount, and now you can do your thing with the money, but return me this amount at this such and such date. So you are being given this credit. So how this credit helps in development? So what does credit helps in? So think it from the
Ma'am, it
way why
helps in
people. Yes,
more prosperity. For example, uh, as a Salim has a firecracker store, and then he takes some now. Uh, it is the Diwali month, and now he needs some more money so that
yes,
he can build his firecracker business. So he
yes,
borrows a credit, and then ultimately he's able to pay it well. So he
yes.
gets a big profit, and then he's able to pay it well, and then
Very good.
he's able to earn more and lives happy life. But in the same case of Rama, she's a laborer in and she takes credit from a money lender who charges it
Okay.
at a very high rate, and she's
So
forced
this you
to.
can this example very good. I know you know both the examples very good. This you can give as a differentiation between formal and informal credit, right? How formal credit is beneficial and how informal credit is bad.
Yes, ma'am.
So that you can give. So what you will write in the how credit helps in development, you will write that credit helps people improve business, increase income, and support their families. First, you will write this, and then, for example, the example of Salim. You will explain that how he used the credit to meet his ongoing expenses as well for production and then increased his earning. Okay. Now, banks even help in credit also help raising standard of life through all these ways only. By getting credit, you can invest in some good source of income and you can improve your standard of life. These credit helps in capital formation. For example, banks offer very attractive schemes so that people get attracted to the loan amount and to the banks and save their money in the market. So this is example of capital formation only by the banks. So in a country, what overall happens? There is increase in production because businesses are taking credit so that they can increase their production. With production, what happens? Employment also increases. For increasing production, now they have money, they can pay more people. They will employ more people to increase the efficiency of the industry. And all of this will lead to faster economic development. It also leads to full utilization of resources. Resources are lying unattended in our country because people do not have money to process them and convert them into products. If they are given credit, if they are given money, they can use that money to convert the resources into final products and increase the efficiency. So, first you will write the definition of credit, that it is the agreement when lender supplies the borrowers with money, goods, and services for return payment in future. It helps in development by improving business, increase income. It also raises standard of living. There's capital formation, increase in production, employment, and finally leads to economic development. And then there is full utilization of resources. So this question is also being repeated again and again in CBSE. So what are the uses of money? Money in everyday lives we use to fulfill our requirement in different ways. First, to buy goods and services in the market. Simple point. You can give examples like you buy clothes, you buy vegetables. Second, if there is money, we can deposit it in banks so that we can increase our savings and use it in future. We can store money for the future uses. Then this this can be used as store value. For example, we cannot store like milk or grain to be used at the time when we will not have, money. But we can store the money. We can store money for longer period of time and buy the things that we want in the future also. So these are the simple points. Then there is this question. Why do lenders ask for collateral while lending? Yes, Rupika, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you tell me why the lenders are asking for collateral?
Because they want something they can trust on, and
Yes.
it is
And
for
what?
surety that they will pay back the money.
Yes. For the surety, you can use another term, guarantee. This collateral
Mhm.
works as guarantee to the lender until loan is repaid. That until
Yeah.
loan is repaid, this collateral will stay with me so that you don't run away with the money that I have given to you. So what happens if borrower fails to repay the loan? Lender has the right. The lender wants to recover its money. So what he will do, he has the right to sell the collateral to obtain payment. So it works as guarantee to the lender, or also the lender can the if borrower fails to repay, the lender has right to sell the collateral so that he can get his payment back. So these are the points that you can write it under this question. So from this chapter, the role of bank, role of RBI, self-help groups role, the role of credit. I'll write these 4 points. Role of banks, role of RBI, role of credit, and role of self-help groups. These are the most important points that you should have with you in form of short notes. That what are write 2-3 roles from your notes for each point for revision. Okay. Now let us discuss outcomes of democracy, if we can. So this is a common question from this chapter. Democracy is an accountable, responsive, as well as legitimate government. So what do you mean by these three statements? That it is accountable, responsive, as well as legitimate. How democracy is a legitimate government? Because it is a government which is elected by citizens. It has the trust of the citizens. People have the right to choose their leaders. So, democratic government is a government which is people's own government and it is run by the people only. How it is accountable? That the government can be held responsible when government takes some actions which are not liked by people. So, what people can do? People can hold protests, carry out campaigns, or rallies. So, these all arguments you can write as under the democracy. Are you all tired?
Yes, ma'am.
You are all tired because your response has been decreased.
Yes, ma'am.
So you must have been revising by your on your own, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, let us make this like I will discuss few points only for 2-3 minutes. Then we can end the class.
Also have one more class, ma'am, next.
At what time?
Maybe 8:30 or 8:40.
Okay. You will revise what in that class?
Hindi.
Okay, okay. So from democracy chapter, it will be based on these 3 points only. You have to mention these points in detail and how they are showcased in a democracy. So, for example, democracy is best suited to produce better result. Then you will write again these points: accountable, it is responsive, it is legitimate. How democratic government ensures transparency because they enable people in decision making. People have the right to examine the process of decision making. The government can be held accountable. All of these points need to be repeated again and again if there's any questions from democracy. So this one point that can be discussed, that democracies are not very successful in reducing economic inequalities. Democracy not successful in reducing economic equalities. How it can be said? Because still in countries which are democratic, like India only, we can see that basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter are difficult to achieve. There is economic equalities, that is, rich are very rich and poor are becoming very poor. Poverty is still a big issue in democratic countries because there is allocation of resources in very few hands. Also, there is slow economic development due to large population. So these points you can write by explaining them as per the demand of the question, how much marks the question it is. So is there any doubt in any part?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I will send this PDF of this class in the group. Okay. You can revise this in form of short points and do whatever you are told to do. The making of the short points for each chapter and then revising them just before exam. So it will help you. Okay, then let us end the class. All the best, everyone. All the best for your exam. Okay. If there is any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can end the class.
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then see you, everyone. All the best for your exam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.